All right. Hey, everybody. Jason Michaels here. Super excited to be here with you. Episode number 6, Jason Michaels TV, the show where amazement and inspiration come together, meet, broadcasting live from Nashville, Tennessee. I have decided to go with the hat. You've seen me wear hats before, but it's just because my hair is getting completely out of control. I'm seriously thinking about the next time I take the stage, I'm going to wear a hat. I threatened to do that, and somebody told me that I was when the last time I told another professional entertainer I might take the stage in a hat, they said you're just having a midlife crisis, and I was like, well, maybe I am. I don't know, but welcome to the show. I am excited to share with you an awesome show. I do want to say, hey, go ahead and like or share this if you've tuned in, just to let people know about it so that they can tune in as well. Anyway, we're going to dive in. I've got an awesome special guest, and thank you guys for choosing to be a part of this and choosing to take a few minutes out of your busy day. We hope that you have some fun with us and enjoy yourselves thoroughly. My special guest today is Nathan Coe Marsh, who we're going to find out who Nathan Coe Marsh is. We're going to find out a little bit about what he does, where he does that, how he's dealing with the coronavirus situation, how people can see him. We're going to learn a lot of cool stuff about a guy that I've known for a while. I've seen him work for all sorts of different audiences. He's wonderful. I saw him. I saw a show recently that he did that blew my mind. We'll talk about that as well. But before I bring him in, what I'd like to do is I would like to let you get a feel for who he is and what he is. So check this out. This is a 60-second reel just to give you a feel of who he is, what he does, and who he does it for. Enjoy.
David, what word are you just thinking of?
Independence.
That is amazing, Nathan Coe Marsh, everybody! That is really amazing! I just want to go, no!
I've got a really cool guest for you now.
One of the stars from the Penn and Teller TV series.
Now, he has performed all over this world.
He's amazed crowds with mind-blowing stunts.
So dynamic.
He's groundbreaking.
The show was amazing. Nathan is hilarious.
You know how you did that. Okay, I'm freaked. I need an old priest and a young one.
Wow! I mean, come on, guys, that's impossible.
I have to say, it was outstanding performance. They're a tough group of people, but Nathan had them falling out of their chair. They just absolutely loved it. And I'm thankful we found him.
I can't even tell you what just happened here.
All right, guys, it's time to bring him on. My buddy Nathan Coe Marsh. Hey, man, how you doing? Oh, hey, hold on, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, hang on. Why can I not hear my man here? Is it just me? Can you guys hold on? All right, let me see. Hold on, Nathan. I'm having trouble hearing you. You can hear me? Let me try something. Then I'm going to put my headset in and see if that has something to do with it. Maybe it's me. Hold on one second. Let me try something. And you're saying you can hear me just fine, and if that is the case, that is great. So let me check. And it's because if it's me, then that's okay. All right, talk to me real quick. I still cannot hear a thing. Let me see here. Stop. I'm going to stop the screen share so that is gone. You are here. I can. All right. I don't know what the problem here is. Let's see. Let's see what the Nathan. I can't hear you. You can't hear. Do me a favor. All right. Cut out, and then rejoin. Hold on. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to send sign. I'm going to sign off and sign back on. All right. I'm sending Nathan a message on your phone, And yeah, and we'll see if we can get him back on. That's terrible. I just gave him this huge buildup, and then he comes on, and we can't hear him. I tell you what, we're gonna get this little audio problem fixed. This is a good dude. Let me tell you a little bit about Nathan. Nathan has he has traveled all over the world. Here are a few things that I know about him. I've known him for quite a few years now. When I was the entertainment director at House of Cards, I hired him to come into House of Cards, which is here in Nashville, Tennessee. I actually hired him to come in a couple of times, and the audiences absolutely loved him. And that was just in the first year that we were open. He came in several times. And the reason he's such a good entertainer and the reason it went so well is because Nathan has worked for lots of different audiences. I think I can tell this without basically telling his story or giving away anything. He's worked on cruise ships. He's worked for corporate audiences. In fact, that's what he kind of focuses on right now is the corporate side of things. So hold on. Yeah. So he focuses on the corporate side of things, and he has where, like I said, he's worked at. And he's gone with me on a military tour. So Nathan went with me on a military tour. We went to a bunch of places. We went to Alaska. We went to Greenland. We went to Central America. We went to the Bahamas, and he was a lot of fun to be on that tour. We were just, when I put together a tour like that, it's very important in my mind. So anytime I put together any sort of a show, it's very important that number one, let me see here. Oh, are you back?
I am back, and
Yes!
I can hear you. I can hear you, and it sounds like you can hear me, and that is incredible.
I got you. Yes,
we made it happen. We made it happen. This is so cool. Well, I love it because
I was just giving them a little rundown. I was like pumping you up and telling them why they want to pay attention, why they want to stick around.
Oh, that is
No,
cool.
basically, what I was saying is that I've known you for a long time, and I had hired you to come into House of Cards a number of times when I was the entertainment director there here in Nashville, Tennessee. You've been with me on military tours. You have worked cruise ships. I know that your main focus for years and still is corporate entertainment. So I want to hear a little bit about all that, but tell me how long you have been entertaining, and you don't have to say, well, do you want me to tell you about my professional life? Just how long have you been entertaining people in general?
My life, man. I was 11 years old, and a friend of my parents levitated a dollar bill at the dinner table in front of me, and I went nuts for it. It was like the most fascinating thing I had experienced, and that became this intense kind of hobby, right? And I was doing some like theater stuff and other stuff, but very little. And magic was like my little secret, right? I was kind of embarrassed to be so into it at the time as like a teenager. And so I wasn't performing. And I got a job teaching magic at a summer camp in Pennsylvania during college. Did my first time like doing a show was when they asked me to do a show there, and not because the show was any good, but because these are kids that look up to you. You're in your 20s. They've been living you for like 6 weeks. They think you're cool. It clicked. Like it was one of those shows that we have where just you're in rhythm and everything feels right and like you can do no wrong and the audience loves it. And that's when I really realized that what I care about is connecting people to each other, live audiences. And if I'd grown up juggling, if I'd grown up doing something else, that's what I would be doing. And I just happen to have magic as a tool for that. But yeah, it's been a passion, and it's been a lifelong passion. And I moved down to Sarasota after college, got a job at a dinner theater, performed as much as I could. I basically told them the deal we had was pay me one night. I'm responsible for showing up that night. Let me know what that night is, and I'm obligated to you to be there. You're obligated to pay me, blah, blah, blah. But let me show up on any other night when I don't have something else going on and feel like it, just to get better as a performer. And so 7 nights, for 7 nights a week, I just showed up. One of those nights was paid and just worked as much as I could for 6 months just to get out there and be doing it and get good and whatnot. And from that point forward, I've been fortunate that it's been a full-time business now since 2006. And so, yeah, man, it's a crazy ride, and we're in crazy times now, and I'm just embracing everything it is. But yeah.
So okay, so I want to go take what you said and just kind of go a little further on that, because you and I have had this conversation before, and we've talked. All sorts of different entertainers, especially the professional entertainers, have talked about this before. I've talked about it with my friend Stephen Bargatze, just over and over and over and over again, about the way that you get good in front of an audience is through basically just doing it as many times as you possibly can under any circumstance. And what you said there is that you said when you started, you were so hungry to get that experience that you had a deal where you were guaranteed to get paid for one night, but you literally might go in the other 6 nights just for the learning alone.
I did. I was going in 7 nights a week. Yeah, just to do it. It's the only way to get good at what we do. There's no other. You can't do it in your bedroom alone, and you can't. I see people going out and like, hey, I've got a business card and I bought some magic tricks. I'm gonna go do my big corporate show, and they work very hard at it. But it's like, no, you can't. You gotta build, and you've gotta, you gotta do it a ton of times, and you gotta actually listen to the audience when you're doing it. You've got to be self-aware. You've got to be willing to really hear what are they telling me, and react in real time, just like any business. You can't be emotional about it. You've got to, see it through the eyes of the people that you're working for.
Right. I think that's really interesting. You say that you're focused, and you said it at the very beginning, as far as the thing that you were trying to create. Even at the very beginning, you were trying to create engagement with your audience. Like it sounds to me, and I've known you for a while and I've heard you say this before, but from what I understand about you, you are solely focused on the audience experience. Like, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and please do, but I think it is more important. Like, I know that you as an entertainer, as an artist, have certain things you want to say, but I think it's fair to say that it is more important to you to make sure that the audience is locked in than any agenda that you might have to say a certain type of thing or do a certain type of thing.
Yeah, but there's an interesting interplay between that, right? Because this is the old art versus the commercial act conversation, right? And there's a really interesting interplay between that, because it does reach a point where when you have something that you're really, really passionate on, that's what the audience wants anyways.
That's correct.
So there is this overlap between the two that it can't, the person who goes out and says, I just want to engage the audience and whatever you guys like, I'm going to do. There's nothing in that act for us to really grab onto, to care about it and to want more from it. On the other extreme, there is the guy who just throws out whatever and isn't really listening to the audience, and is very interested in the sound of his own voice, and that also fails, right? But there is this balance of, this is what I care about, this is who I am, let me put this out, and let me also be very aware of what's working and what's not, and get rid of the stuff that's not working, no matter how I feel about it emotionally.
That to me is, if you're going to try to, in my opinion, if you're going to try to focus on entertaining an audience, you have to have them in mind to an extent, because I agree that there is an interesting, I don't know, I like to think of it as kind of like a recipe. You put a dash of this and a dash of that in there.
Sure.
And you have the things that you are really excited about sharing that maybe you as the artist or the entertainer have created, but you also have to be focused on creating something that an audience actually cares about seeing. Like, I think it's wonderful for people to create art for themselves, but that doesn't mean it's entertaining. If it doesn't somehow, get the audience's emotions, if it doesn't lock them in somehow, what is it? Then if you don't have an audience, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I thought it would be fun. I went back through my some. Let me grab my screen here, and I went back through some stuff that I have as far as some memories, and I found some. I found some photographs of us, and there are a couple of photographs here. This the one on the left side is you and me. I think that was taken in Alaska, as was the one next to it, which is at the northernmost Denny's in the world.
Also the most expensive Denny's in the world.
You know what? Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, absolutely. And these were taken on a tour that we did. Those were in Alaska, and then you've got that photo there of you. I forget what base it was. I know it was in Alaska somewhere, and there's the airplane that is underwater. Do you remember the story behind that?
Yeah, I remember vaguely. So, you know, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm 100% going to get the details wrong. But the gist of it was that plane had gone down they put it in the lake intentionally at some point, and it's been there for decades and been used for like target practice. So you look in their little, their gun holes in their bullet holes in the fuselage and stuff from people just going in and shooting at the plane. And there's the old, there's an old line in show business that they don't pay you for the show, they pay you to get there, right? And so that was the caption that we threw on that, was me with there was another photo that we did in front of that plane with me with the suitcase, and it was, they ain't paying for the show, they're paying for the travel.
The travel, yeah.
Right.
Because, that's so true, isn't it? We love what we do so much that,
I mean, don't say that now that everybody's doing virtual shows. Don't let them know that.
Yeah, right. Actually, I'm really interested. I'm interested in having that conversation with you because I try, sort of through monitoring things on social media, through conversations that I have with different people, I try to sort of keep my ear to the ground, so to speak, and hear about what's going on in the entertainment world. And so right now, with the coronavirus and people being safer at home and self-quarantining and all of that, all the entertainers that I know are falling in one of two camps.
Right.
They're in the camp of live entertainment is best seen live.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do anything until I can be seen in front of a live audience. And then there are the other entertainers who are saying, well, who knows when we're going to be able to be in front of an audience again, and I want to keep doing what I do. So there are a whole lot of people trying to figure out how to create shows that they can either like sell tickets to or sell to events, virtual events, like, I mean, in your world, virtual conferences and things like that. And so there's like this virtual world. So I'm very interested in hearing your take on it, and sort of, I don't know where you are at this very
at this moment right now. I am in both camps.
Okay.
I am I'm a big believer, do the show in front of you, not the one that's in your head. And audiences clearly want this right now. From what I've heard, I've yet to do a virtual show. I'm working on the material for it. From what I've heard from friends who've done it, though, people are really grateful for it. And the impact is less, they're saying that. The impact of the magic is less than in a real show, and it's just a reality of the situation, right? Yeah. But the audience is ready for it, and the audience needs it. It needs to be, what I think doesn't work is I see people who try to do their stage show, and they try to do it in front of their iPhone in their living room, and I don't think that works. It has to be something that's custom created for this venue, for what the audience is experiencing on Zoom or on the different meeting platforms that they're actually doing this on, right? Yeah, man, it's exciting. My initial pivot is I'm in the process of building a studio to be able to do it professionally with a hardline internet. We've got professional lighting in here and all that good stuff. My initial pivot is towards virtual event hosting, because I think that's important now more than ever, is to have somebody who is smooth and polished and entertaining, who can be the link between all these presenters if you're hosting a conference online. And yeah, we're going to see. My big concern personally is I have spent decades developing and polishing a live in-person show, and so I don't want to just throw out, here's my virtual show, And it's not the first few, which I'll do for friends on a private Zoom link, are not going to be as good, you know? And so I'm taking my time to make sure that the product is at a level of quality that it needs to be. But I think it's something that you have to experiment with, because these people who are just like, no, it'll never work, this is the wrong venue for magic. We don't know, you know, we don't know until we get out there and we do it and we create something that is specifically catered to the very different experience of the person watching through their mobile device or watching through their computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. I'm kind of excited about, like, I'm with you on the idea that I've spent, you know, my adult life learning how to really figure out how to entertain an audience in a live setting. Like I'm completely with you. And when you go through that growth process, it can be, you know, you're not good at the beginning. So you have to go through that process. And I think you know, now that we're looking at virtual shows, I mean, my first like hesitation, this is just me, and I don't know how about anybody else, but my first hesitation to that was, well, does that mean that I've like built up this professional reputation and then I might do a show that's terrible? You know, I mean, it's like, really? Do I just do that? And
yeah.
And so there's that side of me which says, oh, I don't want to do that. But then there's the other side of me which is really excited about potentially crafting something so different that literally didn't even exist. You know, 2 months ago. So there were no such things.
Yep.
That people weren't doing virtual shows. I mean, there might have been somebody, but nobody that I knew.
Yeah. And there are some phenomenal performers who are working on them. So I'm excited to see what happens with it. I'm cautious, right? I saw Saturday Night Live do their Zoom meeting SNL thing, and that was interesting, to say the least. So that's part of the hesitation too, is when you have people who are being paid millions of dollars every year to write and perform, and you're like, yeah, it's not the same. So there's a real, I guess my thing to people is treat it like any other venue, please, in the sense that please do the work, please set up, you know, you have so many friends who are cooped up at home now who will jump on a Zoom meeting to watch your practice show, private show. Do that. Don't just blast out to the world. Here's my virtual show, and it's free, and it's on Facebook Live. And I really think you're hurting yourself if you're doing that.
Yeah. And I will say the other thing that doing a show live for the camera, as far as like pretending that there's an audience there.
Yeah.
I don't think that, I think the skill set now is to learn how to perform for the screen. So there's one thing to learn how to perform for the stage, and if you haven't developed the skill to perform for the screen, that's what everybody's having to learn.
And there is a benefit, right? It's a much more intimate medium. That if you have 1,000 people in that Zoom, whatever, you are looking dead in each of their eyes, and it feels to them like they're the only one that you're talking to. It is the power and the intimacy of radio. And that's why it can be very awkward and weird when people are coming out and trying to do like a stage presentation in that context. It just feels strange because it's not right for the moment.
Right.
You know? There has to be care and effort put into creating something that is for this medium.
So I just noticed that it says on the top of that slide, memories from Iraq. Those are not memories from Iraq.
Those are not memories from Iraq, but you have been everywhere, and you have memories from everywhere. So.
Yeah. So tell me, I see you doing right over here. I see you doing a card trick for a bunch of guys gathered around. What was your experience like doing shows for the military?
It was so great. It was so great. Like getting back to do the show that's in front of you, not the one that's in your head thing. Like we didn't know what we were going into. You know, sometimes it's a beautiful theater. Sometimes it's a side room in a bar. Sometimes it's a little whatever. And having our show, and we can't travel with a lot of gear. You know, you've basically got whatever you're going to fit in a carry-on for your show to be practical and to know what's there. And so to show up in these different places and to figure out what's going to be the most incredible experience here. And it was really gratifying to me as somebody who's worked a lot in corporate entertainment and venues like that, where you're serving people, you're making people happy in the moment, but there's a different level of service when it's people who are out there, they're sacrificing their time, they're taking on a big risk for the rest of us, and they really need this because there isn't that much to do otherwise. They really need what we're doing. And so there was a much deeper sense of satisfaction for those shows than for necessarily going out and doing a great show, and a different kind of satisfaction than doing a good show in a different context.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. There's no question. Let me show you this one. So here's a photo of you. So these are two very different places. One of these. Yeah. Tell me about the one on the left.
So the one on the left is Thule, Greenland, home of red clay everywhere. And oh man, that was. Do you remember the story of our airport ride to get there?
Our airport ride to get there.
So here's what happened, because you've been on many of them, and this is the benefit of traveling with a group of people who are all performers. We were taxiing to take off.
Oh God! And, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and a stewardess suddenly shouts out, "Sir, no, sir, sit down, sir, sir." And it's some young 18-year-old kid was like standing up trying to run to the restroom as the plane was taking off, and he couldn't quite make it, and just all over the place, just cues all over the airplane. So they taxi us back in, and they have to clean and sterilize the plane before we can get back on. So all these people are staying for an hour, like at 2 a.m. at the airport in Washington, D.C. And so the 5 of us did an impromptu show with stuff that was not our big stage proppy show, because they were going to see that later. It was like, here, I got a deck of cards. You've got some pieces of paper. You've got this. Yep. And we did like 20 or 30 minutes and had this big group of people around us who were happy and excited. And we were able to turn this really difficult situation into something that was this fun, unexpected surprise for people. So,
and that to me is the reason why we do it. I mean, certainly we have our times when they say we want you to do a show now, but I think one of the reasons one of the things I like to share with the people that go with me on these is that a lot of times we're just meeting people in their everyday life. They're doing their job, and we can bring them a few minutes of smiles. And in that situation, what you're talking about, you're right. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody just wants to get on this plane and take a nap. And now all of a sudden we have to go back to the airport. Everybody has to stand around for an hour. It was brutal, but that was one of those situations where we could have just been very frustrated. But what we chose to do was exactly the opposite, and said, let's do what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah, embrace it and own it, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll add one of the great joys of that tour for me was you introduced me to Christian and Catalina, who are incredible people and great performers, and were awesome to tour with. Yeah, so on the right, that is Honduras. That is where, after we landed, the sergeant told us, "Congratulations, you've just safely landed on the second most dangerous airfield in the world."
Yeah. I've landed in a couple of airports that they've said this is one of the most dangerous airports in the world, and I'm like, really?
Because they said that at the last one too.
Yeah, another one.
Oh man, the waterfall. So that was also in Honduras, and this is a distant glimpse of the waterfall. What we ended up doing there was we ended, and I don't know what photos you have coming. I don't know if you have photos of this, but we ended up hiking through that water. So first we did zip lines over this was a day off, and they were incredibly hospitable to us and wanted to show us the area around the base. And so we were doing these zip line rides high over the jungle. And then that waterfall, we freaking hiked through that thing. Mm-hmm. And when I say hike through that thing, so there's, whatever that is, 500, 1,000 feet of water coming down. They've got these iron cables and you're holding on. And the kid who is guiding you through and giving you the safety instruction is, if you let go of the rope, you will die. Follow me.
There's no way this would be safe in the United States of America. They would shut it immediately.
No way that would happen. So, but it was a really incredible, team building experience there. So yeah, we had some fun.
It really was. And I actually have
There it is.
So this is the video of us underneath the waterfall. Have you seen this? You remember this, right?
Yeah. Oh man, this is great.
All right, check this out. This is us. This is the way Nathan just described it a few minutes ago. You hike underneath the waterfall. You would think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Well, it's a big deal, and this is what it was like.
That is you, Jason Michaels.
Holding on for dear life. Yep. So that was that was
awesome.
Trip. We had a blast. But so let's chat for a second about, because you shared with us a little bit about your background and your history, but I want to talk about what you do a lot of. You're really special. Your specialty is corporate entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely. 1,000%, and fairly narrow within that. So corporate, when people talk about corporate entertainment, there are all these different avenues and stuff like that. My baby is my 45 to 60-minute after dinner show. And then I also do a lot of MC work where I'm connecting an event together and being that glue, keeping everything running seamless and high energy. And then we also do very custom things. So in December, we made Michael Carbonaro from the Carbonaro Effect was being brought in as the full show for a group for 1,700 people at a corporate event. And I was tasked with transforming someone into their MC. So we did a whole custom illusion where their MC appeared on stage and got this real rock star entrance in front of the whole group. So it's a wide range of things, a lot of different challenges. Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. That's really kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, give me. So do you have any favorite? I know that as an entertainer, you and I have different experiences with different clients or just different situations. Do you have any? I'll give you the choice here, and you can go any direction you want. Favorite stories,
right?
Or a nightmare story, or it could be one and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, or you know, nightmare situations that you had to deal with. I don't know. I'll just kind of let you go.
Yeah.
Maybe, do you have any
So
tales?
here's one of my favorites. Well, when we talk about like the work for corporate groups, one of my favorites on the creative side is we had a group where their theme was our people are the superheroes of our company. And this was it was an incentive trip where they had identified their 50 top customer salespeople in like a call center for this major organization, brought them in for this huge trip with all expenses paid and this nice dinner and everything. And the superhero thing was their theme. So what we created for them when they came in, each table had a placard that said, each space at the table had a placard that said, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And there was a little pencil there where they could fill that out. And as they're talking, that became, because these people were top performers in an international company, they didn't really know each other. So that was this wonderful icebreaker as they're talking. Well, I would, here's what my superpower would be. Here's what my superpower would be. Then during the show, we got to actually give one of them the superpower that she had wanted on stage as part of a piece of magic. So I really enjoy that stuff. I really enjoy like getting to. I love the show that I have. I love customizing the show that I have, but I also love finding ways of, here's what our people are saying. Here's what our message is. How can we bring this to life in a creative, exciting way that people haven't seen before? And that's something that's very interesting for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So the customization part, how much of that is that's like the ultimate icing on the cake, isn't it?
I think it is for any audience, right? Like it's something that you see a lot in the corporate world, but I think what's important to an audience is they love when a performer is right here, right now. And so when you're doing something that's very funny, that's connected to who they are, it's connected to the message, connected to the hotel we're actually in right now, it's far more impactful than if they feel like you're just pressing play on a little wind-up doll that's doing the same thing the performer always does. So I think customization is a huge part, and it happens to be, it happens to be a big part of the corporate event work, but I think it's huge whatever market an entertainer might be working in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell me what your, I think we talked a little bit about this, but I know right now people can't see you right now, but how are you?
Come to my living room.
You can see me here on the
Stay
show.
6 feet away.
Is there any way you're in particularly dealing with this sort of safer at home situation? Are you just diving into creative? What are you doing to stay like mentally healthy?
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing about this is it's like the shared experience, but we're all having it separately,
Right.
But I think I'm going through a lot of the same things that everybody else is, right? But I'm using it creatively. I'm using it to build the capability to be able to do virtual events. I'm working on the back end on writing that virtual show. I don't know at this point whether that gets in front of people where they're able to book it or not. Frankly, is going to be based on, I'm going to do some private tests for different audiences and work it in and make sure it's a really high-end product. And then if it is, that'll be something that people can work with. If people just want to experience a little bit of what I'm doing while they're at home, I have made available my full performance from the Magic Castle from February, which feels like it was years ago. And that's available. It's only like 20 minutes because we're doing 4 shows a night there, but it's a way to just kind of zone out and enjoy something that's very different once you've gotten to the end of Netflix.
What you gave me that. I am grabbing it right now. I apologize that I don't have that. I grabbed a bunch of stuff, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it in just a second, and I'll throw it up on the screen. Let's see here. I did want to ask one final question about stories from the road and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like to sort of, my goal with this show is to be both entertaining and inspiring as well. Or it's amazement and inspiration. The idea is to share amazement and share inspiration. So do you have any story? And it doesn't have to be a major, huge thing, but do you have any stories or tales of having to overcome a challenge where it's just like you were pitted with some situation? Maybe it's something that you had to overcome mentally. Maybe it's something you had to overcome physically. Do you have anything that comes to your mind there?
Yeah, it's funny just because I'm in the brain mode, but that moment in Honduras where we're going in the waterfall was way outside of my comfort zone of what I would have done on my own, and it was really cool to have been surrounded with people that made me do this thing that was really fun and life-changing once I'd actually gone through and done that. So for me, the challenges are the big one of my life has just been finding a way to earning a living doing the thing that I love and learning to create things so that other people want them and bringing that kind of thing in. I know you've been talking about imagination on this show, and I live in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about this town that I'm in is that we're a town where our natural resource is the imagination. Walt Disney had an idea, and he bought a ton of swampland that nobody else wanted. And it was an idea that was so compelling that millions of people across generations have flocked to experience it. So for me, there's no one story that jumps in of, there are a lot over the years of doing things at shows where you're in really crazy circumstances or really difficult challenges and you find a way to make it work nonetheless. But no one is jumping in right now in that moment. But
so what is hilarious is that you just gave the perfect plug and you didn't even know when you were talking about. So I did want to talk to you about living in Orlando, and I think it's true. Orlando is built. It's an entertainment town. It's built on the imagination of Walt Disney. Really, I mean, for the most part. I mean, the entire tourist industry there. So what I would love to do, and I did throw up on the screen, I threw up the address to your Magic Castle show. Actually, so we'll make that jump in just but tell them why it is so cool that they can watch your Magic Castle show. If for someone who's unfamiliar
Yeah.
with what the Magic Castle is, explain to them why it is so unique, so amazing to get basically free access to this place.
Yeah, and what's it's funny because it's a great almost segue to the Disney thing as well that we were talking about, because this is a place where somebody had a vision that was completely different and they created this thing that was unlike anything in the world, and it has been wildly successful and it's a one-of-a-kind place. So this is what was a mansion in Los Angeles in the Hollywood Hills area that has been converted into a private club for magicians. And it is an incredible dining experience. It's an incredible craft cocktail bar experience, but it's a place that brings in the very best in the world when it comes to magic, and you're able to experience in different showrooms that show what this person is the best at, this amazing live experience. But you can't just walk in on the street and see it. You have to know someone who's going to invite you, who's going to bring you in. So, and it's a place where it's very difficult to get video recording and whatnot. So this is a peek inside a world that's not easy to get into. To your point, Jason.
Yeah, and you know what? I watched when you first put this out. I watched this, and this is. And I'm not saying this because you're on my show. No. I'm telling you, this is an excellent show. It gives people access to one specific showroom. The Magic Castle has multiple showrooms. It's one specific showroom. It's your show. How long is it? About 25 minutes or
about
so?
20 minutes, yeah. About
25 minutes. And this is a very, very amazing and entertaining show. And so if you are looking for something fun to do later, open your browser, pause. You'll have to go back and watch this and pause it and type in the address. But it's a great show. You'll thoroughly enjoy yourself. And now let's do this. Let's pivot a little bit in our conversation, because you were talking about imagination. And what I want to do for the next couple of minutes is I want to talk. A couple of weeks ago, we started a conversation on this show. I do my program called Do the Impossible. One of the things I talk about is imagination. And that's what's so funny when you brought it up. We talked about imagination. What I talked about was that imagination is the beginning. It's the beginning act of the act of creation in my mind. I think the act of creating something starts in your imagination. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take 3 minutes and we're going to talk on imagination. We're going to finish that conversation out. It doesn't matter what we had talked about in the last episode. You and I are going, now this is about a 60-second long video clip, and then you and I will discuss. Cool?
Cool.
All right.
Yes, absolutely.
What's it feel like to get a role and get a standing ovation from a group of people who are used to making fun of you? What does that feel like in your soul? If you really want to get fired up about something, if you want to do something that truly feels impossible, like when you walk in here, you're dealing with something that feels impossible to overcome, see it in your mind, feel it in your soul. Feel the outcome. Feel the outcome in your soul. That to me,
I love that
advice years ago, and it like changed my life. And I was like, wow, it's one thing to picture something in your mind that you would like to accomplish. It's something completely different to feel what that outcome feels like before it even happens. There's the idea that some people believe that you can manifest these things to come into reality, and that may be the case. I'm not going to debate whether it is or whether it's not. But what I do know for a fact is that when you feel the outcome that you are wanting to achieve, it automatically charges you up. And it just, I think it makes you naturally take steps that you may not take else otherwise. Like the things that you may not like doing, the things that you may just have a hard time forcing yourself to do, those things become a little bit easier when you are feeling the outcome and seeing the outcome of what you're trying to achieve as if it has already happened. So so the things that we focus on our imagination are the things that become real in our lives. So Nathan, what you actually said early in the conversation that you wanted to entertain people so much, you were so charged about it, you were willing to do things that a lot of people won't do. Like you felt what you wanted, and then you did the necessary steps in order to get the result you wanted. What is this? Did this video clip bring out anything in you?
Yeah, that sense that, yeah, absolutely. That sense that, it's funny because it works on a couple different levels, because as magicians, our job is creating impossible things. And what you describe is exactly the creative process of seeing what is that thing. In my own life, my own career, it was seeing it as if I had no other option. It was very important to me to not have a fallback plan, to not have a plan B, that this is what I was doing. And hearing you talk about that, I realized that what I was doing was I was treating it as already done. I was treating it as inevitable, and that absolutely forced me to take different actions than I would have if it was just like, hey, this is something I want to do, but maybe now's not the right time, and I'm really busy. And what about, I think there's a different level of urgency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, there's no question. I will go ahead and say that I wrote my program is what I basically teach about in my program is called the Live Big system, and the big stands for something, and the I in big stands for imagination. And if that clip spoke to you and you want to get the Live Big system, I wrote it up absolutely free. It's on my website, so you guys can check out jasonmichaelsmagic.com. And now it's time for the small business spotlight. Guess who we're spotlighting? Hey! So Nathan, we talked about this. Nathan is corporate entertainment that is focused solely on the audience's experience. I've known you for a long time, and I was playing around on your website the other day, and the things that are important to you are captivating, connecting with your audience, engaging them. And I love how you use the shared experience of magic, and which creates amazement, and comedy, which is laughter, to bring people together. What do people need to know? If you were going to give them the pitch, if you were going to say, hey, this is what I do for you, this is how I come in and can do, what would you say?
Yeah, I care passionately about the success of my client's event. It's not just my time on stage. It's not just whatever. Like I am there to, my interest is that you have an amazing time with your guests, and I am going to do what it takes to deliver on your own goals, to communicate your message, and to have an amazing time while we're doing it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. That is, yeah. And I can attest. He does what he says he does. I've seen him do it many times for many audiences, and it's great. So Nathan, now I didn't spring this on him. He knew he was going to do this. Because the show is about amazement and inspiration. We've talked a little bit about inspiration. Let's have a little bit of amazement. Are you still good? You don't
sounds like fun.
But are you still good to do some magic?
Yeah, that sounds great. This will be fun. So absolutely.
All right.
So
now let me ask you: do you want the screen solely yourself, or do you need me involved?
Let's do solely me. Let's do solely me. You can admire the facial hair as we come through there. So I have been fascinated lately with the idea of the Internet of Things, which, as I understand it, is the idea that my doorstep is going to be on Facebook with my suitcase, which is going to be on Tinder with the window. It's an exciting and weird world. And we have with us smart coins. These suckers are fully Bluetooth enabled, voice activated, Wi-Fi ready. And the beauty of these guys is that, unlike with conventional coins, if the coins say we're over here, but we wanted them. There we go. We're learning the virtual show camera placement. If the coins were over there, but we needed them all the way over here, well, you have to reach over. You got to lift up. You got to carry them across. Ain't nobody got time for all that. But with these suckers, all you have to do is say go. And one pounds his way on over. Now, hey, now here we go. We'll model the genes here as we come through here. So we have these guys. The beautiful thing as well. Let me do this. We'll get to where everyone can clearly see this here. The beautiful thing as well. These aren't just voice activated. They are also brain activated. The moment you simply think go, it just pulls apart as we come through.
Nice.
So, and we'll stage this in the moment as we come through here. So this guy's gone. We've got two that are left to make the journey as we come through here. Two that are left to make the journey, and as we pull through.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay, so a little improvised fun as we come.
That's great. You know what? I love it. Thank you for being willing
to
do that. That's fantastic. So we're gonna start to wrap things up here, but I just wanted to see if there was anything else that's sort of, I mean, at this point in the ballgame, it's wide open. If there's anything particular you wanted to talk about, or if there was anything that popped into your brain that you didn't get to say that you wanted to throw out there, what's anything at all?
This is an opportunity. You know, this is a really difficult time, but it's also an opportunity for us to figure out what, we've got this block of time. What the heck are we going to do with it? And so figuring out ways of embracing it and figuring out ways to pull the positive out of it. And I think you're an amazing model of that as you're coming out and creating these things that didn't exist before.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. I do agree with you. I was talking to some folks yesterday, and they just said, "How are you doing?" And I said, I don't know if this is going to sound weird to you, but maybe it is weird, because when disasters happen, for some strange reason, all I can see is opportunity. And I don't mean that it's like I'm trying to take advantage of somebody. What I mean, and what I said to them was, this is a mess for so many people, but it is an opportunity for somebody like me and for somebody like you in the entertainment world. What do? Well, we naturally help people forget their problems. That's literally what we do. If in a live show, if it's an hour-long show, the goal is to have them completely in the moment with us and to forget about the rest of the world. And so I certainly never would wish disaster on anybody, but I kind of think of it as it's our opportunity, us, entertainers, speakers, different types of folks that are in our business. I think it's our opportunity to serve our communities and to serve our clientele and to figure out, and kind of get back to doing it why we love to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, few takeaways from today's episode. We met my friend Nathan Coe Marsh, and we heard some awesome stories from his travels and his life as a professional magician and as a corporate entertainer. Watched a video clip on how to supercharge, the idea of supercharging your imagination. And we enjoyed some of Nathan's magic through the screen. If you are enjoying Jason Michaels TV, I do appreciate you tuning in. I'll be back with another episode soon. I would love for you to check out the web page that I have created. The web page is jasonmichaelsmagic.com/JM-TV. And there you can sign up so that you get automatic updates from me about when the next show is going to go live and about the different special guests that I have planned. And I have some more special guests planned over the next couple of weeks. We're going to keep doing this for the foreseeable future. I don't know how long we'll do it, but we'll do it for as long as necessary. If you're a small business and you'd like spotlight opportunity, email me. If you know somebody who has dealt with something difficult, like an overwhelming challenge, email me that as well. My email address is jm@jasonmichaelsmagic.com. Nathan, I really appreciate you being on the show. It was a ton of fun, and Hey, man, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys come back, check us out next time. Nathan, you have a wonderful day. And everybody out there in the interweb, you guys have a great day as well. We'll see you very, very soon.